Okay, perfect. Looks perfect, and we are ready to go.
Okay, just for the purpose of the edit, could you give me your name and your position, please?
It's David Butler-Jones. I'm the Chief Public Health Officer for Canada.
David, what is the added value of a One Health approach from the perspective of your session?
Well, the added value of a One Health approach is the challenges that we face often are at the interface or the margins between human, animal, environment, and the economy. And unless we're focused there, we will often miss the key problems that we have to address and the potential solutions as well.
What do you see those key problems?
Well, the key problems are everything from the impacts of climate change to what's happening in terms of infectious diseases, what's happening in terms of how the environment is changing, our relationship to that, and the impacts not only on infectious diseases, but also food supplies and so many other aspects that are essential to health. And particularly as people living on the margins in more vulnerable areas, living in poverty, in disruptive situations, these impacts, whether it's natural disasters or human error, have a much greater impact, and we need to be able to address them more effectively.
What are the main obstacles to a One Health approach?
Well, the main challenge, I think, is linear thinking. I mean, we too often have been stuck in our own disciplines or our own sectors. We haven't actually crossed over and recognized the expertise that exists. Quite honestly, I don't know of any expertise that we can actually do without. We need all of those perspectives to actually understand those complex interactions and then to work towards solving them.
And how will research need to strengthen the One Health approach?
Well, research really, again, needs to reflect that crossover. So you can't simply look at human disease in isolation of what's happening in the...
Can I just stop you?
Yeah.
Can you just drop the word again, because it refers back to the...
Okay,
answer.
okay.
Just one.
Okay, can you ask me the question again?
Of course I can. How does research strengthen the One Health approach?
Well, research for the One Health approach needs to reflect the interface between the different sectors. And research often is very linear, focusing on human health or animal health or what's happening in the environment. We need that crossover, and often, as in Canada, the various funding bodies tend to focus on human or animal or environment or other factors or the economy. And we actually need to have an integrative approach so we recognize actually when one influences the other as opposed to seeing things in isolation.
What about education? How does education play its part in One Health?
Well, education is key to One Health because if we're going to break down those disciplinary or sectoral barriers, we actually have to learn as we're going to school, whether as a physician or as a veterinarian or as a social worker or as an economist. We have to understand and be open to listening to the perspectives from other disciplines and other views of the world. And it's only in that way that we can actually, as we progress in our own professions, make sure that we're not missing those key problems that occur at that interface between the 3 or 4 of them.
But implementation, how are you going to implement a One Health approach?
Well, fundamentally, it's about being practical. One Health is a way...
Implementing...
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Implementation of a One Health approach really depends, first of all, on being practical. It is a conceptual thing. It is a way of thinking about the world and thinking about the problems we face that actually recognizes the connections, because it's all connected at the end of the day. And so implementation of it will really require practical application. And that's where the examples that we see, whether it's in research or actually in government policies, simply stated. I mean, for example, in Canada, the Public Health Agency of Canada, the Food Inspection Agency, and Health Canada now, those 3 departments are all under one minister. And our Level 4 laboratory in Winnipeg has both animal and human health components. That allows some very practical ways to get at some of those challenges.
From a Canadian perspective, how important is it that you're here?
Well, I think this conference and its predecessor is part of a growing connection, both of academics and policymakers and others, to find practical ways to actually address public health and One Health, and the links with social determinants as well. And so these kinds of fora are essential for people to participate in from different sectors, from different levels of government, to actually reinforce the kind of work that we're doing back home, and recognizing, like we used to talk about environment in the 70s, that you need to be able to think globally but still act locally.
Sounds like a great line to end on. Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.